Welcome to Silence the Podcast with Daisha Selena.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Silence the Podcast. This is episode 5, the last episode of 2024. Today, the episode is going to be a mix of like what I went through in 2024, what I experienced before I got to Yale, getting to Yale, how Yale has changed my life, and what I've learned about myself and like others, and what I'm taking into 2025. Before we start, as always, thank you so much for all the love, the support, everything on TikTok, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram. Silence really grew within the first month that I've been doing this, and I'm so incredibly grateful. Let's jump right into it. January to the beginning, the first half of March 2024 was not the best at all. I was depressed. I'm gonna come out and say it. I was depressed. I was so down in life. Things that I went through and like at the end of 2023 had trickled over into the beginning of 2024. And what happened was my rejection from my first choice school and a rejection from a scholarship program that I really wanted at the time. If you guys know what Questbridge is, then great. But if you don't know and you're currently a high school sophomore or junior, I would say definitely look into it. It's called Questbridge. It's a 4-year full ride scholarship program. You apply for the program. If you make it to the second round, then you rank all of the schools that you want to get into. And this scholarship program is paired to some of the top schools in the nation. If you match to one of the schools, basically are a Questbridge scholar, and you get a 4-year full ride, meaning your entire 4 years you would not pay a dime for tuition. It's crazy. I got rejected from Questbridge, and then I got rejected from my first choice college, which was Duke University. And the Questbridge rejection, I will never forget the day. It was October 18, 2023, and the Questbridge rejection was not something that I took lightly. It was the first time I really got like rejected from something that I really wanted. I've got rejected from other like programs or extracurriculars that I wanted to do like before, but Questbridge, I was really banking on Questbridge because at the time I was very misinformed, I was very ignorant, I was very clueless as to how the financial aid process actually works for college. And I was listening to like outside sources, outside pressure, they ask you, where are you planning on applying, and then you tell them, and then they come with the comments of, oh, well, I hope your parents got a good job, or I hope you know how much you're about to spend, things of that nature to try to deter you. I was hearing that. So I'm like, okay, I know I'm applying to the top schools in the nation. Like, I quite literally need Questbridge to come through for me so that my parents don't have to go into debt. If you watch my episode 4, which is the last episode, the one right before this one, then you know that I don't believe into going into extreme debt for an education. So while I did want to go to some of the top schools in the nation, I was not going to break the bank, and I was not going to make my parents take out 20 years worth of student loans, and I wasn't going to take out 10-15 years worth of student loans to go to these top institution. Like, I just wasn't going to do it. So when I got rejected from Questbridge, I was very scared, very nervous, very sad, because I'm like, damn, like, how am I going to pay for college? And obviously it all worked out in the end because I ended up at Yale and I ended up on a full ride. At the time, I just didn't really know how the financial aid whole process worked. So I thought, like, without Questbridge and without like outside scholarships from another source, like, I'm cooked. Like, I'm going to be into so much debt. I didn't take that rejection the best, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it did bring me down for some weeks because I'm like, damn, like, I really needed that to come. And then fast forward to December 18th, 2023. So literally like 2 months after the first rejection, I got rejected from Duke University. Now, a little insight on the college process if you're new to it, or if you're going through it soon, or if you just want to know, hear my experience. The 3 pools that you can apply to for schools is the regular pool, then it's the early pool, then it's the early decision pool. Early decision, which is ED, that's binding. So if you apply to that school as ED, and if you get into that school, you must go to that school. Even when you apply and you put like ED for a specific school, they make you sign a contract. Like, it's very serious. Like, if you apply to that school ED and you get into that school ED, you must go to that school. Under no circumstance you could change, you could retract, you could recant. Like, no. I applied to Duke University ED. My heart was set on Duke. I wanted to be a Blue Devil so damn bad. Nobody could tell me I wasn't gonna be a Blue Devil at that point in my life. Like, I wanted to be a Blue Devil so bad. How my list was: Duke University was 1, Yale University was a close second, and then Rice University was a close third. I applied to about 30 something schools in total. If you saw like on my TikTok or my Instagram, I applied to a lot of I applied to a lot of schools, but those were like my top 3 that I really wanted to get into. So I applied to Duke ED, meaning that if I would have got in, I would have had to go to Duke University. I would have had to withdraw all of my applications from any other school, and I would have had to go to Duke, and I wouldn't have known where else I could have got into. I wouldn't have known what my family JA package would be. Like, EDing to a school is a really big risk. Early action, on the other hand, EA, is basically, it's the same like process, kind of. You're applying early to the school to try to increase your chances of getting in, which isn't 100% truth. That's like one of the myths, that if you try to apply early, then you're guaranteed to get in, or you have like higher chances of getting in. That's not 100% the case at all. But early action is not binding. So if you get into the school EA, then you don't have to go to that school. It's kind of the expectation that if you're applying EA, then you know you want to go there, your heart is set on it, and you'll basically end up going. But it's not a contractual binding legal agreement that if you get in, you're gonna go to the school. And then obviously the regular pool is just you submit regular application, you'll find out regular with everyone else in March. When I got rejected from Duke, that is when the frustration and the doubts really started to kick in. I was already doubting the entire college process when I didn't get in through Quest Bridge, because obviously I don't know how I'm gonna pay for it. I don't come from wealth, and I don't come from mommy and papa's money. Like, if I don't get some type of scholarship, I know it's gonna be cooked. But when I didn't get into Duke, that really scared me, because I'm like, damn. I was looking at it practically, or at least I thought I was. I was looking at the statistics. Okay, Duke usually accepts a higher number of students than Yale. I think they had a 5, 6, something, very low percent acceptance rate. So I'm like, okay, if I couldn't get into Duke, which is still a top university, but it's not in the top 5, and they have a higher acceptance rate than the other schools that I applied to, the Ivy Leagues, then I really have no chance of getting into the Ivy Leagues. And it got to the point where I really lost all faith, all hope. And if you know me, then you know, like, I didn't want to go to a community college in New York. Like, that was my number one, like, goal to not do. Like, I did not want to end up staying in New York for school. That kind of like set off my 2024 poorly. I want to touch on this very important topic in terms of like the college rejection process, because I think it's not talked about enough. Getting into a college and a lot of like dream schools for people, it's not just about going to college. It's not just about getting a higher education and going to school and partying, having the college experience and living on campus and having roommates and meeting friends. College for a lot of people is an escape. For a lot of people, college is to leave behind a life that they're running from, whether it's an abusive relationship, whether it's a toxic parent situation, whether it's a violent environment, whether it's a poor school system, whether it's the old version of themselves that they're trying to escape. For low income students, and for students in general, college is an escape from a lot of things. So college rejection is not just about, oh, you didn't get into your school, like try again, or there's other schools out there. When certain students get rejected from these schools, especially in the beginning stages when you're applying early and you have your chances like set on these initial schools that you're applying to, and getting rejected from those schools, it can shake up a lot of people. And while I was going through my rejections, I kept hearing the motivational speeches. I kept hearing, you know, everything happens for a reason. Rejection is protection. Rejection is redirection. This was all God's plan. It's going to work out for you. Just you wait and see. We have faith. We have hope. Don't give up on yourself. You have to stay strong, optimistic. You have to stay positive. While I do not think any of that advice comes from a place of malice or ill intent or ill will, that just goes back to what I was saying previously. A lot of people view students that are experiencing college rejections as it's just a college rejection for them, and they'll get into a school and they'll be successful. But that's not what it is for a lot of people. And I really wish as a society we would stray away from this tendency to kind of ruin someone's processing of their own emotions and their reality. In the back of my mind, did I have faith that I was going to end up at some college or some university? Yes. In the back of my mind, did I have faith that I would still be a successful attorney no matter what school I got into? Yes. Or did I hope in the back of my mind that my hard work will pay off and everything happens for a reason? Yes. But in that moment when I was opening those rejection letters and I'm thinking about my future and I'm thinking about all the stuff I'm trying to escape, I'm thinking like, damn, like I'm not one of those people where college is an option for me. Like, I don't have wealthy parents. I don't come from a wealthy situation where if I don't want to go to college, then that's fine. I just don't have to go. Or if I don't get into my dream school, that's fine. I could just live off grandpappy's money for the next 20 years and then figure something out later down the line. Like, I'm not in the top 1% of the wealthiest in the nation where college is an option for me. Like, no, college is the furthest thing from an option. If I want a chance at getting out of my situation and being the first in my family to be an attorney and be successful and have assets and be wealthy. even for the middle class, upper middle class people. I don't have retired parents that can sit around all day and like be up my ass and call me 24/7 and look over all of my schoolwork and be by my side 24/7. College is an option, and even if I don't want to go, I still am okay with going to my state school. For me and a lot of other people that may look like me and may be in my situation, college was an escape from a life I was growing out of, a person I was growing out of, someone else I was trying to become, the highest version of myself. So if I had to stay in New York City for college, I wouldn't be who I am right now. And if you're listening and you're like, oh, like New York City, that's like a fun city, that's a fun place, a fun state, blah, blah, blah. I'm not talking about Times Square, my love. I'm not talking about the skyscrapers and the tall buildings and the pretty lights that you guys come from out of state to see. Like, no, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm from like actual New York City, not just what they show you in pretty TikTok. I just wish I was met with a little more compassion, a little bit more understanding, a little bit more not trying to give me a damn motivational speech every 2 seconds. So if you are a high school student right now, if you're a high school senior, you're going through that process and your experience hasn't been, now I got you in my, if your experience hasn't been the joyful TikToks of, oh my God, I got accepted to my ED school. I was in your position a year ago and I know exactly how you feel. I know exactly how you feel. I know like the exact thoughts that's running through your mind. I know the anxiety. I know the fear in your heart. I know the fear of the unknown. And on top of that, if you're anything like me personally, I have a bit of a control issue. Not to the point where I'm controlling over other people, but to the point where I wish so badly I could have control over my life and my future. And obviously I know to some extent we all have control over ourselves and where we end up, you know, follow the rules, follow the laws. But when you're going through this extreme and crazy college process, you really don't know what's gonna happen until it happens. And I tell the girls that I mentor all the time through their college process, this process is really random. Like, that's something that I learned while going through it, and it's something that I was told while I was like experiencing it, but it didn't really occur to me like what they meant, and it didn't really make sense to me. AI hasn't taken over yet. So the people reading your college applications, they are humans too. And I try to stress the point where human error and human bias unintentionally corrupts the entire college process. Obviously, legacy students and people paying their way in, yes, but even the admissions officers that don't have ill intent, at the end of the day, these are people too. So the difference of you getting into your school and not getting into your school could be the person that read your application that day got a flat tire when they woke up, or their spouse just cheated on them, or they just woke up in a bad mood, or they lost a family member. So it's like you really just never know the real reason as to why you get accepted or rejected to a school. Like, you would just never know. And human error and the person reading it and what they're feeling, what they're going through, how their life is in that specific moment when they're reading your application, like let's keep it a bug. Yes, they're supposed to be biased and impartial and holistic and fair and all this extra nonsense, but you and I both know that's not how it works 100% of the time. After those 2 rejections, I'm not gonna lie to you, that shit took me out. So if you're going through it right now, I 100% feel you, and I'm not here to give you a motivational speech right now because I know that's not like necessarily what you want to hear. Obviously, rejection is protection, rejection is redirection, and it's all gonna work out in the end. But I encourage you, if you're going through that right now, to just sit with your damn feelings. Don't listen to all these motivational speeches about how you gotta keep fighting and never let go. Sit with your feelings. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to be upset, frustrated, angry. It's okay, whatever you're feeling. And you don't have to wake up and immediately turn it into your success story. It's okay to take a few days, a few weeks to like process what's going on, come to terms with your emotions, try to make a new plan or reevaluate your list. Like, it's okay to do all of that. And I just want to make it clear, like, you don't have to jump into what's next so fast, if that makes sense. I was down to the ground, bro. January 2024 up until the beginning of March, I was so sad and depressed every single day. I was waking up in cold sweats. I'm like, damn, like, I really don't know where my future is gonna go. And like I said, to a lot of people that might sound like a drag, that might sound exaggerated. Like, you're gonna get in somewhere, you're gonna go to school, it's not the end of the world, like there's other schools besides Duke. But like I said before, if you're one of those people where you're counting on and you're betting on getting out of your situation and college is your escape, you don't want to hear that bullshit about how there's other schools and you can always stay in New York and you can still be successful and community college is still an answer. Like, no. If you're going through it right now and you just want to feel your feelings and you keep hearing the motivational yapping, I 100% feel you, and I want you to know you're not alone, and I experienced the same exact thing when I was going through what I was going through. So fast forward to March, that's when things finally started looking up. March 2024 was actually the best year of my entire life. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, March 2024 owes me absolutely nothing. Like, March 2024 will forever go down in history as the best month of my entire life. If you guys don't know, my birthday is March 10th, period. And I started the month with my birthday off strong. Love my father. I'm so grateful for him. He paid for me and like 3 other of my closest girlfriends to go on a ski trip, basically upstate New York. We went for like it was a one-night trip. We went skiing, we went snow tubing, we stayed in a cabin in the woods. It was a great time. We had a grand time. Then fast forward Ivy Day, March 28th, 2024. Like, yo, March 28th, 2024 gives me chills even just saying the date, because that's truly like when I think my life changed forever. So Ivy Day, if you don't know, all of the Ivy League schools, for whatever reason, decide to send out their acceptances and rejections on the same day at the same time every single year. So for 2024, all the Ivy sent out their letters on March 28th, 2024 at 7 o'clock p.m. I will never forget this. So me being my type A self, I got home from school. Obviously, I had a few hours to kill. I was losing my shit. I'm in my house. I'm like, yo, like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out, like, what, like, if I got into any Ivies, if I got into Yale. Like, I was just so stressed out, bro. Mind you, between January and March, I started getting some college acceptances, but they were all of my backup schools. Like, they weren't schools that I was actually considering going to besides Rice. When Rice came in, which I think was a few days before my birthday, I think it was like March 8th or 9th, I was like, okay, so all else fails, I'll end up going to Rice. It's around 6:30, I think, and I'm starting to open all of my applications for the Ivy schools. I applied to 6 Ivy Leagues. I applied to UPenn, Yale, Brown, Columbia, and Harvard. Yeah, I applied to 5, 6 schools, however many that was. And I opened the tabs and I had them all set up in the order in which I was going to open the school. So at 7 o'clock, when 7 o'clock hit, I could just press reload and open all of the applications and see if I got in or if I didn't get in. So UPenn was first. Now I'm not going to go into why UPenn was first, because I'm not going to get into like the story of how I basically knew I got into UPenn before Ivy Day, because they slipped up and somebody in the admissions office made a mistake and basically told me I got in before I officially got in. So I kind of knew I got into Penn. I was like 90% sure. So I opened Penn first. Open Penn, I got the little congrats 2028. I was like, okay, we cooking. Columbia, I believe, was the second like letter I opened, and I got waitlisted, which wasn't bad. Columbia's in New York. I didn't want to stay in New York, so I was like, yeah, this is just on a whim. And then I think Brown was the next one I opened, and I got rejected from Brown. Brown was surprisingly the only Ivy League I got flat out rejected from, which was interesting to me. Then I opened Yale. Oh my god, like, talking about this gives me chills every single time. I will never forget how I felt in that moment. So I opened the Yale letter, and there's like, it's the letter like behind the screen, but on the main screen, it sent me like a YouTube video popped up. I'm like, wait, what is this? So now I pressed play. Mind you, my college advisor insisted that I FaceTime her throughout me opening all of the letters. I didn't want to FaceTime anybody. I didn't want to speak to nobody. I didn't want nobody in the room. Like, no, I wanted to open all the letters completely by myself, because I truly did not have faith that I would get into any of the Ivies, especially not Yale. So I didn't want to be embarrassed. Like, I didn't want anyone there with me or on the phone with me while I was opening it, because I already knew I was gonna cry. So I didn't want to experience people seeing me that way. She insisted. So then I pressed play on the Yale like YouTube video, and then I see them damn Bulldogs. I saw Handsome Dan, or Little Handsome. I saw the confetti. I saw Class 2028. I'm like, yo. She must, like, my college advisor that was on the phone with me while, like, I was opening everything, she must have saw something in my eyes, or she must have saw my face or something when I opened my Yale letter, because as soon as I opened it and I, like, clicked the button, I'm like, I realized I got in. She was like, you got in? I didn't even say nothing at first. I was so stunned. I was so shocked. I'm like, bro, like, I can't even speak. So then when she's talking, must have saw my face or my expression, she was like, you got in? You got in? I was like, I got in, and I started crying. I started bawling. I don't know if anyone else can relate, but the college application process quite literally feels like a rat race. Until you get in, like, a school you really want to go to, it literally just feels like you're a hamster on a wheel, spinning and spinning and spinning every single day, not knowing where you're gonna end up. I hated feeling like that. I already told y'all I got control issues. I like to know who, what, when, where, why, and how when it comes to my life, when it comes to my future, when it comes to things that's gonna affect future me. Not knowing the outcome of the college process, it pissed me off something serious. After I got into Yale, like, things started to look up. If you watched my very first episode of Silence the Podcast, you know March was overall the best month of my entire life, but I was also experiencing cyber harassment on Instagram from people that went to my high school. If you want to know the details on that whole situation, then episode 1 is the first episode on this channel. After I got into Yale, everything just started to look up. Everything felt right. Everything just started to feel like it made sense. I was playing everyone. I was lying to everyone. I was saying, like, no, like, I don't know where I'm going to choose yet, blah, 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 baby. As soon as I opened that Yale acceptance and I saw I got in, I knew it was going to be Yale. Some people I was intentionally telling them, like, I don't know, because monitoring spirits, and I just felt like some people just be praying on your downfall. Like, you really, like, just never know. But for other people, like, a part of me really didn't know if it was going to be Yale. I was very fortunate, very grateful, very blessed enough to be flown out to several different schools to tour the campus. Rice flew me out to Houston. WashU flew me out to St. Louis. I was also supposed to go to Georgetown, but if you took AP classes, then you know the AP exams are in the beginning of May, and we were starting to wrap up, the final units in my AP classes. I didn't want to miss 2 days of school, and then it was Rice, WashU, and then Yale. And then after Bulldog Days, which is Yale's 3-day, like, admitted students event, where they basically fly or pay for your train ride, bus ride, whatever the case may be, for all the accepted students to come to Yale for the first time as, like, officially admitted students. And we get to be hosted by, like, actual Yale students. We get to stay in the dorms. We get to eat in the actual dining halls. So, the purpose is to really get the official experience of what it would be like if we all ended up choosing Yale. When I went to Bulldog Days, and I know a lot of people can vouch for this, because a lot of people, basically everyone I've spoken to at Yale, they've all said that Bulldog Days is what made them commit to Yale. And I will give it to Yale. Bulldog Days is so well planned out that if you go and you don't commit, then I would have to assume you got a better offer at another school, because Bulldog Days is so well planned and well thought out and just well executed. It literally makes you want to go to Yale and start right then and there. So after my Bulldog Days visit, after my Yale visit as an official admitted student, the next day I got back to school, went to my counselor's office, and committed to Yale. And since then, I truly feel like that moment in time changed my life, because it was for the first time that I felt like my hard work, like academic hard work, was paying off, and I was getting the recognition I deserved. 2, I was finally getting to escape my situation that I won't go too much into, but if you watch episode 1, then you know, like, what I was going through in my high school, and some other personal stuff, like family stuff, things like that. It was the start of a new life. Like, it just made me calm down, knowing that I made it to Yale, and I'm never gonna see these people ever again in life, because they just not, like, I'm just never going to be in the same room with them ever again. It kind of made me, it put a lot into perspective to me, for me. It really and truly did. So after I committed to Yale, I basically finished out my senior year. If you want to know how that turned out for the 6th time, go watch episode 1. If you want to know, like, how I prepared for Yale over the summer, then go watch episode 2. That's basically where I went into how I prepared for Yale, and part 1 of, like, my first semester. That was, like, June into August. I covered in episode 2. Then episode 3, I basically covered August to, like, the end of November, and everything I went through my first semester at Yale: friends, grades, boys, Black Yale, all of the above. And then now we're here. And I will say, as a conclusion to my whole first semester at Yale, I did get my final grades back, and I'm not the happiest camper. In episode 2, I said that the work was actually challenging for the first time in my academic career. I'm actually at a school where I'm challenged and it's kind of hard for me. If you guys listen to episode 2, I was telling y'all that I was trying to pull through. I started getting my first couple of B's ever, like in life. Like I've never gotten a B before. And I told y'all I was going to try to pull through and get them straight A's on that transcript. And baby, I did not pull through. I have an A minus, an A, and then a B plus. I took 4 classes, but I only have 3 grades because at Yale, they have something called credit defail, which is basically a pass fail. So what it means is if you take a class and you feel like you're not going to do the best, or you feel like you're not going to pass it, well, not pass it, but if you feel like the outcome of the class is not going to be the grade that you want to see on your transcript, you could kind of get ahead of it and choose to credit defail it, aka pass fail it, and the grade that you get for the class won't count towards your final grade point average. You get 2 credit defails for your first year. So ideally, like one first semester, one for second semester, and then you get, I believe, 4 for the remainder of your time at Yale for the last 3 years. I really do not like the whole credit defail system. I love the idea and I understand like its purpose and its function. I could see how it has helped a lot of people. But in terms of the deadline, when you have to decide what class you're credit defailing and if you're even going to credit defail a class, I just feel like it really doesn't make sense. Why do we have to choose which class we want to credit defail before finals and before we get our final grades? Like, that just really doesn't make sense to me, because then you have to play like this game where you have to guess what you're going to get on the final, how it's going to impact your final grade, what your final grade is going to be. And then if you guess wrong, then you used a credit defail for no reason, or use a credit defail for the wrong class. And I feel like I used a credit defail for no reason. One, because I kind of felt pressured to use it. Because like I said, you get 2 for your freshman year, but you have to use those 2 your freshman year. They aren't tackled on to the other 4 that you get for your remaining 3 years at Yale if you don't use those 2 your freshman year. You either use them your freshman year or you don't get to use them at all. You only have the 4 left. I kind of felt like a little pressured to use it. But then on top of that, like I said, the deadline to decide what class you're credit defailing is before finals. So I didn't really know how I would do on my finals, and I only knew my grade for 1 class. Another thing I really do not like about certain professors and like the academic nature of Yale is I don't understand why professors are allowed to determine whether or not like their students can see their grade throughout the semester. Like I said, I took 4 classes, and only one of my professors allowed us to see what our grade was as the semester went on, and then my other 3 professors hid our grades until the very end. And that's something I don't like, because I want to see actively how I'm doing in the class and how each assignment is impacting my grade. I don't want to have to use some random Google calculator for my GPA. Like, no, I want to see how I'm doing in every class to know what I should credit defail. I just feel like how Yale does it right now is really backwards, but I think the College Council is trying to like fix that and figure it out. So I really hope they could get that soon, because it really just doesn't make sense to me. That's basically like asking someone to accept a job offer without knowing how much you're going to get paid. Like, it's just backwards. I feel like in my situation, I used a credit defail for a class that I didn't really need to use it for. And I really truly feel like I would have gotten an A in it. But I had this like realization after I already opted in for the class to be a pass fail and not count towards my GPA. If you know me personally, and if you've ever went to school with me, then you already know how my heart sunk to the ground once I saw that damn B plus on my transcript. You already know. Like, if you know me personally, then you already know. You already know the panic attack I had when I saw that damn B plus. Like I said in a previous episode, that is my first ever B plus in my life. Right now, my GPA starts with a 3. For the first time ever in my life, I do not have a 4.0 GPA. So yeah, I'm not the happiest camper about that, but it's not like I'm angry about it. This is how I know like I've grown as a person and as a student, because I feel like any other year of my life, I would have had a meltdown. Like, I would have been trying to get it changed. I would have been trying to argue with the teacher. I would have been trying to do anything I can to like get that B plus into an A. But like I said, like, I go to a challenging school now. Any other school, a B plus would have never been okay for me, because I've gone to schools that didn't challenge me at all. I was learning ABC 1, 2, 3 up until my senior year. Mind you, this is college, my first year of college, new people, new place, I'm trying to figure myself out still, new classes, new rigor, all of that. So I'm actually like proud, kind of that I finished off strong, because I know that like some people might not have that same story. Some people might have better grades. Some people might have been able to achieve the straight A's or whatever the case may be. Kudos to them. And I know some people might be in my situation where they got maybe a B plus, B minus. I know some people might have got, a little bit lower grades. Everyone's on a different journey. Everyone's on a different path. Everyone's going at their own pace. I couldn't get the straight A's, y'all. I couldn't get the straight A's. But I will be trying to redeem myself next semester. Because, like I said, I don't give B. I never gave B. I don't want to be. I don't want to give B. And that brings me here. 2024 was the most successful year of my life, but it's also the year that I felt the most alone, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of the things I went through this year, I feel like I was seen, but I wasn't heard. And if I was heard, I wasn't understood. And that's kind of a hard pill to swallow, because it really does make you feel so alone. You're going through things and like people around you don't understand, or if they don't understand, they're not really like helpful, or all you hear is you got to get back up and try again, and everything happens for a reason, and it's all God's plan, and everything happens for a reason. Like, that shit gets annoying. That shit gets overwhelming. And I feel like with everything I went through with like people, this year was truly a test. In the past, I haven't made the best decisions in terms of like friendships and relationships and scouting people and figuring out who's for me, who's not, and knowing when people's time is up in my life or when my time is up in theirs. But I truly feel like with the things I experienced with people and like interacting socially like a normal human being this entire year, it was a test not to crash out. Y'all know how to saying like, do you need that? I feel like a lot of people needed that this year. But I had to be the bigger person. I have a lot to lose, blase. But baby, when I tell y'all, the way I played a bigger person this year was completely, truly, and honestly unreal. With the things I've had to let slide from people, because I just know I have too much to lose. And then 2, I truly feel like it was a test to learn how to stop playing about me. I never played about my grades. I never played about my education. I never played about my morals, my values, the type of person I am to others. But I feel like up until this year, I've always played about who I am to myself. I've always let too much shit slide. I've always silenced myself. I always allowed myself to be silenced. I've always, put in so much work and effort towards other projects and other people's endeavors, and not really as much into mine. And not to say like I haven't worked hard for myself, because clearly I got to Yale. Like I've been doing the work. But in terms of like building my own foundation, building my own organizations, building my own and starting my own opportunities and endeavors and adventures, I've always been reluctant, because I've been so focused on putting my effort elsewhere, trying to lead clubs, trying to get into college, that I really haven't like pouring into me and putting my same leadership, planning, creativity, organization skills into things that I'm passionate about, things that I care about. I feel like Silence the Podcast and my nonprofit organization that I'm in the process of starting, it's really allowed me to blossom and pour back into me. I'm very excited. I'm very proud about that. As far as Silence, I really do plan on elevating, and I plan on continuing. I'm not gonna lie, a lot has come with this podcast in the 2 months that I've started. I received backlash, I received hate, but I've also received a lot of positivity. I received a lot of people reaching out, a lot of people telling me that they can resonate, or they can relate, or that I helped them, or that I motivated them, or that I inspired them, or that they appreciate Silence the Podcast. And every single time I have like a doubt or like a thought in my head that's like, I don't know if I should do this anymore, like maybe I should stop, maybe this is too risky, I always get a text from someone telling me how much it can relate, how much it can resonate with this podcast. And I am taking those as signs to keep going, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. Guests, I'm very excited to start having guests on my podcast. I feel like within the first five episodes, I really try to build like a solid foundation. I try to get you guys to get to know me and a little bit of my story, my background, and how I got to Yale, the things I went through before Yale, preparing for Yale, my first semester at Yale, and some of my beliefs, some of my values, some of the things that I want Yale to improve on, some things I like at Yale. But now I want to continue that, but start incorporating and amplifying other people's voices of people that go to Yale that also look like me, so you guys can get multiple perspectives, multiple different opinions, different views about the experience of a Black person or person of color at Yale. So definitely stay tuned for that. I also want to upgrade my equipment. I saw myself on Fizz Yale, which if you don't know what Fizz is basically an anonymous app or whatever where people could basically talk about what's going on at Yale, like the latest tea. I don't know, I just feel like it's so cowardly to run anything anonymous, even if you have like good intentions about it or whatever the case may be, because I just feel like anything that you want to say, whether good or bad, you should have the balls, you should have the courage, you should have the confidence to make sure your username is showing, or make sure your name is showing, or to say it to that person directly. And I just feel like Fizz and the Shade Room and all these different anonymous apps that allow people to comment and like spill tea and all these different things, it just gives room to cowards to do cowardly shit. So I saw myself on Fizz, and I was basically, Silence the Podcast was in a poll, and the question was like, which of these influencers, because the annoying ass people at Yale like to put Y in front of every word to make it quirky and edgy, I guess. Yeah, I was a part of that poll, and I was considered one of them. And I just want to make this clear, I'm not a influencer, and I think it's kind of like degrading and a little bit like it deters from the overall message and purpose of Silence the Podcast, because I'm not trying to influence anything. I'm just trying to foster open and honest conversations about life as a Black person at Ivy League, especially at Yale, with the hopes to get other people that look like me to apply to Yale. So I guess you could say I'm trying to influence you to apply to Yale, but seeing like myself on Fizz, I was like, all right, whatever, but it was kind of annoying. I want you to see what the experience is like at Yale to, as a Black person, a person of color, through telling my stories, sharing my experiences and what I go through. Some things I'm gonna get real specific about. Example, the fallout I had with my closest friends throughout my first semester. It's something I'm just going to talk about very broadly. That's how I'm going to do this. I don't really see I don't see the long-term benefit of day in the life at Yale, or what I end the day at Yale, or Yale vlog, or daily vlog. Like, I just don't see that being sustainable in the long run. Like, I want people to always be able to come back to Silence the Podcast and follow my journey, as I can follow my journey as well, of how I started versus how I'm going to finish in 2028. I'm also starting a nonprofit. I can't say the name on here yet because I'm still in the process of getting the legal rights to it, but my nonprofit mentoring organization, which I've already started, I just haven't like very promoted it yet and said the name yet because I'm still trying to get the paperwork and all of that situated. I offer 100% free mentoring services to underprivileged and underrepresented students that look like me trying to apply to college, and I currently have 3 returning clients at that. These are the first 3 people I've been mentoring and working with since October when I started, and they've been returning and coming back to me for help. I have 1 international client from Nigeria and 2 in the States, and I've just been going through the process with them, making sure that they're good, their essays are good, their Common App is good, supporting them through rejections and things of that nature. And I don't plan on stopping. I actually plan on expanding. I'm doing it in the form of a nonprofit so that people don't have to pay. This is not a cash grab to me. This is not a money grab to me. I'm not doing this to make a quick check. Like, no, I'm doing this to actually help people, and I don't believe that money should be a prohibiting factor to people getting the help for college that they want and need and deserve. And I also plan on working on myself as a person and trying to like get connected to people again, because I feel like a lot of things I experienced that I mentioned before, it kind of like traumatized me with people, and I could see it and I could feel like I'm not really interested in conversation. I'm not really interested in starting new friendships. I'm not really interested in like getting close to people again, just on how many people had to go, how many people I fell out with this year. And I know if you're listening to this, you might think like, oh, like you must be the problem if you keep falling out with people, but this just goes back to what I said earlier. 2024 was really the year of no longer playing with myself, in terms of letting people walk all over me or letting people overstay their welcome in my life, accepting things that I know I don't deserve, things of that nature. And like I said, it gets lonely when you have to keep cutting people off because they just don't have the best intentions for you, or they're just not who you thought they were. But in the long run, it's so freeing and protective, and you don't let anyone try to distract you or deter you away from that. So yeah, I still have a lot of working, I still have a lot of healing to do in 2025, and I'm just walking into 2025, starting my endeavors, continuing Silence the Podcast, getting my nonprofit situated, and continuing my journey at Yale. Hopefully I can pull through. Hopefully I get them straight A's this next semester. I enjoy my classes and I can make new friends and have a better overall time here. And I'm excited that you guys can be on this journey with me. 2024 was a year. It was a year. It was a lot of ups, a lot of downs, but overall this was truly, honestly, the best year of my entire life. It was such a successful year for me, such an eye-opening year for me. I did so much work on myself. I encourage everyone, seek therapy, get a mental health counselor, get the help you need. I hope 2024 was a good year for you as well. If it wasn't, I truly hope you are met with clarity, abundance, wealth, health, in 2025. That's another thing I want to take serious in 2025. My health. So much health wise happened this year. It was kind of scary, but it truly motivated me to get on my game, because health is wealth, and I can't have this successful podcast, and I can't be a successful student at Yale, and I can't be a successful future attorney, and I can't be a successful CEO of a nonprofit if I have all these health complications, if my iron is consistently low because I'm not eating correctly, if I'm heavily anemic because of all these unresolved issues in my body that I have been neglecting and not taking care of, or if my allergies and all of my allergic reactions keep flaring up because I'm eating things that I know I'm allergic to. So I just have been having to hold myself accountable in all aspects of my life, and that's what I've really been doing over this winter break. Thank you guys for being on this journey with me. Thank you guys for tuning in every week. Thank you guys for all the love, all the support. Thank you guys for always reaching out, sharing your stories, sharing your opinions, giving me feedback, supporting Silence the Podcast. Shout out to all the girls I'm mentoring right now with your college application process. I know everything's gonna work out in the long run. Rejection is redirection, and I'm excited to continue working with you guys. Yeah, that was all for this episode, and I'll see you guys in 2025. The opinions, beliefs, and perspectives of Daisha Selena or any guest on Silence the Podcast do not reflect the opinions, beliefs, and perspectives of Yale University, Yale College, or other entities related to Yale, Yale staff, or Yale administration. The purpose of Silence the Podcast is to inspire people that look like me to apply to Yale, not to defame, bash, slander, or attack anyone mentioned on the episode, including but not limited to Yale University, Yale College, other entities related to Yale, Yale staff, or Yale administration. Silence is complacency.